All right, everybody, welcome to Virtual Bourbon. My name is Steve Akley. We have an event tonight where we're going to be trying some Cabin Still from 1973. Of note, of course, because it is a Stitzel Weller product. And Stitzel Weller is associated with some of the best and finest bourbon that's ever been made. And Cabin Still has a really good story. So we're going to be talking about that and the history and even getting to where they're at today with this product, which it's kind of a sad story, but these things happen in bourbon. We're going to talk about that and always hold out hope for these brands that have been kind of, put down to the bottom shelf and companies tend to like them that have a name that's known because then they don't have to advertise and promote them. It can just dwell on the bottom shelf and it'll find a market. People remember the name or see articles on the name and things like that. So it helps sell the product, which tends to be something that helps them move inventory of things, bourbons that aren't necessarily bad, but a little different flavor profile. We were just talking about a very good flavor profile, the Bananas Foster pick that we had from Stumpy Spirits. So sometimes very good things can happen in a barrel that are unusual and off profile. And then sometimes things can happen that make bourbon taste just a little bit off, like you can't mix it in with your regular product offering. So what do you do with it? Well, you have a lower level product that you then push it out. It's almost like having your very own Marshalls or something like that. You have your lower end product, and that's what some notable things like Cabin Still sit now, and Old Crow, and there's some other ones too that are names of note that are low end. The name itself comes all the way back from 1849. So it was the first product brought up by William LaRue Weller, the historic distiller of note. And he actually started the company. He was only 24 years old. So in the first product, he was a war veteran. He was a person of note, and he was what do you do when you're done with all that kind of stuff and you're ready to now start your career. And in 1849, he came up with bourbon he called Old Cabin Still. It was a weeded recipe. And of course, if you buy a bottle of Weller today, now initially he sold it under that Cabin Still name, and the name W.L. Weller would come a part of their product lineup later. It's kind of a tribute to him. So the product that we know today that they say even dates back to 1849 is Weller, because it's the same recipe and all that kind of stuff. And if you buy it, it says right here on all the Weller products, the original weeded bourbon. And that's a great story. But if you're from St. Louis, you probably have tried this product right here, David Nicholson, 1843. So we're talking about 1849, Cabin Still, or William LaRue Weller, W.L. Weller comes out, and it widely claims to be the first weeded bourbon. And you know what? These things happen. And I don't think that in any way William LaRue Weller stole the recipe from David Nicholson or anything like that. The information wasn't really out there like it is today. So there's no way to pilfer that. It's just he was working with a different grain than people normally did. And David Nicholson was doing that in St. Louis. They both came up with a bourbon that was a weeded recipe, something very different. And they could both be working separately and discover kind of the same thing. William LaRue Weller, of course, had a company that ultimately would be selling nationally. It became known with the weeded flavor profile, whereas David Nicholson was just a small one-off company then in St. Louis selling whiskey to locals, and ultimately would even be bought by William LaRue Weller, and it would make its way through that company through the years. So it's up for debate what the real, and there may even be more than that too, that out there that could have the actual claim. And that's how things are with whiskey. There wasn't the documentation like we have today and things like that. But Old Cabin Still is certainly a historic brand that goes way back, like I said, all the way back to 1849. The name Old, of course, is no longer, and that we know today is just Cabin Still. And that's something that they started phasing out in the 50s with the company. And it would kind of, they just started putting it smaller on the bottle. It was big Cabin Still, and then Old it would kept getting smaller and smaller. Finally, they just phased it out altogether by the 70s. And then from that point forward, it's just known as Cabin Still today. It's one of the few brand names like Yellowstone and some others that were sold, never have stopped selling since 1849. It's always been available. That includes through Prohibition. It was a whiskey that you could get a prescription for. And if you go back and you look online and you search, you'll see some very cool bottles of Cabin Still, back at that time, still called Old Cabin Still, made for medicinal purposes. And it would be cool to have one of those. I'd love to bring one of those up and show it to you right now, but I don't have one of those. But it would be very cool. It's definitely a cool thing. And you see, there's people that have full bottles of it and stuff like that. And so it's been sold continuously since the beginning. It did very well. I mean, it was, like I said, a well-known name. Even when they started selling Weller bourbon, they continued to sell Old Cabin Still. So, and the company, uh, ultimately, William LaRue Weller had children, but they didn't want to get in the business. And he ended up selling out to two of his salespeople. So two of his sales reps bought him out. One was Pappy Van Winkle. So Julian Van Winkle Sr., aka Pappy Van Winkle, he bought it. And then another sales guy by the name of Alex Farnsley. Of course, these are both Kentucky Bourbon Hall of Famers, have great careers by themselves. And they say that when Pappy had started out, one of his favorite brands to sell was Cabin Still. So he loved that product line and things like that. So he was doing that, and then the company began to grow, and then they bought out or actually did a partnership, but they were the controlling interest of buying out AP Stitzel. Um, Company, and that's ultimately would turn into Stitzel Weller. So they would merge the two companies together, and Pappy Van Winkle would be the president of that. So he was the guy who ran that company, and he did it. He ran the company for many years, all the way through the 1960s. He passed away in 1965. At that time, his son Julian Van Winkle Jr. took it over, and he ran it. And from all everything that I've read, he did a good job with the company. He ran it well. He was a good business person. Of course, he's a military war hero. He famously, was a tank commander in World War II, and he won multiple awards. He got hurt in the battlefield, and he was supposed to be sent home, and he refused to go home. He wouldn't leave his men, so they put him back out there, and he famously led to many victories on the battlefield, and came back a war hero and went to work for his father. And when Pappy passed away, then Julian took over the company. And like I said, he was doing a good job. But if you remember what was happening at the time, the bourbon business was going downhill. They were losing, percentage points every year, and the family started to get nervous. And an offer came in for the company from a company called, what's the name of the company here? Norton Simon. I don't know the name of them, but they're apparently a large conglomerate. Maybe they're still around today. I don't know. But at the time, they were a large conglomerate, and they had made an offer on the company. And Julian said no, he did not want to sell. But all of the relatives, Farnsley's relatives, Stitzel's relatives, and even Julian's own sister said, we're going to sell. So he was basically outvoted within.
Let me know how that goes.
Yeah. Yeah. So he was outvoted within, family and friends, and he was not able to retain ownership of his own company. So he sold the company, and Norton Simon took over. Now he would still have an affiliation part of it. What he did is he was able to take one of the brands with him, Old Rip Van Winkle, which was a brand that had been a Stitzel Weller brand back pre-prohibition. They hadn't brought it back, so it was kind of dormant. He liked the name, of course, being a Van Winkle himself, and so they took ownership of that, and he started bottling product, and he worked out a deal where he could buy inventory from the company, he could bottle it there, and all those type of things. And he continued to do that until his unfortunate passing. He died relatively young. In 1981, he would die. And at that time, the relationship was severed. So his son, Julian Van Winkle III, who still runs the company today, by the way, had taken over, and they no longer would allow him to buy inventory or bottle in their facility. So he went off-site, and we've kind of told this story in another one of these events. But yeah, he ended up having to buy an out-of-business distillery just to utilize the bottling line. So the old Hoffman distillery, he would buy and utilize that. It's interesting to note, though, one of the things that Julian Senior got when he left the company was he was looking for branding for what would become the Old Rip Van Winkle Distillery, the name of his brand that he was taking with him. And I don't know if you guys have seen this, but this is a cabin still. So the cabin still that we're talking about today, this was one of their decanters that they had. So and this was from, I think, 1969. And when they started working on the logo for what would become Rip Van Winkle Distillery logo, if you look right here, this guy sure looks a lot like the Cabin Still guy. So yeah, he kind of took that and made that part of his logo. So Cabin Still, the famous Rip Van Winkle and Pappy Van Winkle and all that stuff, definitely has a tie beyond just being a former Stitzel-Weller products to today. So that still is a tie that they've got today. The bad thing about the Norton Simon company that took over was they had already gotten into the bourbon business. They had bought a company, a distillery in Nicholsville, Kentucky, that was making a bourbon, gin and vodka under the name Canada Dry. And it's a weird name today. We don't think about Canada Dry being in the alcohol business at all. We think about them as kind of a seltzer soda type of thing, but they were putting out product at that time. It notoriously wasn't very good, so it had a bad name. I don't know. I've never tried it myself. I mean, I would like to go back and try, because some of those things that they say are lower or bottom shelf items of distilleries of past. If you go back and you try them now in modern day, they kind of hold up better than maybe they were at the time, because there was a lot of good products out there. When you're comparing them to, old Fitzgerald of the 50s and 60s and something that they considered very bottom shelf, it's probably pretty good today. So I don't actually know what this Canada Dry bourbon was like. It's a weird name for a bourbon. The uniquely American product to have the name Canada in it, I don't think helped it at all either. So it had a bad name. And one of the things that Norton Simon did was, this product wasn't selling, this Canada Dry. So what they decided to do was start blending it into some of the products that Stitzel-Weller had. So they took some of their product. Now there's a real problem with that, not from a legislation standpoint or anything like that, but from a flavor standpoint, because all of the Stitzel-Weller products are famously wheated bourbons. The Canada Dry bourbons were a high rye recipe. So by blending those together, you're very much changing the flavor profile. So, and this happened, that's what's going to make today's tasting very interesting, because this happened on June 28th, 1972, is when Norton Simon actually bought out Stitzel-Weller Company. The Cabin Still that we're going to be trying is from 1973. So this is the actual bottle. I partnered with Jason Bronner. I found a person who had the entire collection. These all the Ducks Unlimited decanters. The first 2 years, 1972, 1973, were Cabin Still, which you can see that right there, Cabin Still. And after that, it went to Jim Beam. Now, I don't know what caused the change. Was it a quality issue? Was it the fact it was a different company, broke the contract, and they just went with Jim Beam? I have no idea. I can't find anything about that online. I have found several reviews of the 72 Cabin Still. This is a 73 though. So this one, I haven't found any reviews of. So I don't know what people say about this, if they feel like it's a product that is more reflective of being 100% Stitzel-Weller juice, or if they feel like it's a blend. So that's going to be part of the challenge that we're going to go through today and kind of decide ourselves. There's no answer to this. I don't have a secret aha moment where I'm going to be able to tell you one way or another. I couldn't find anything about it online. I haven't actually found anybody to rate or review the 1973 one. So I don't know. The 72 one, I do very good reviews, honey tasting and all kinds of the good things that you want to hear and you kind of anticipate with a Stitzel-Weller product. The brand, then, Norton Simon was kind of in over their head in the bourbon business. It wasn't their thing. It wasn't their core business. When these things happen, sometimes they work out well if you've got maybe the right team. They didn't, and business did not go well. Ultimately, it was bought out in 1984 by National Distillers, and they held it until 1993 when they went out of business. And when they went out of business, Heaven Hill bought most of the names, most of the brands from them. I think it was like I don't know. It was a lot. So a lot of the names that you hear, and then they started selling them out too. Then they started selling them. So they went to a lot of different places. Jim Beam got a bunch of them. Luxco in St. Louis got some of the names. Heaven Hill retained some of them, and they have Cabin Still today. And as we talked about at the beginning here, Cabin Still is a bottom shelf dweller. I don't have a bottle myself, don't keep one in inventory, but it's a $10 bottle. So it's a very cheap bourbon. And I haven't actually tried a new bottle, so I'm not even sure exactly what the flavor profile is. But for $10, I think you can kind of imagine. Probably not great, but probably not terrible either. Like you drink Old Crow, and it's okay. It's not horrible, especially if you're mixing it with something and things like that. But that's where we're at today. I mean, Cabin Still is a product that's still out there. It goes all the way back to 1849. It's one of those that you hold out hope on that maybe someday, some way, Heaven Hill, or if they decide to sell it, someone will put some money into it and bring it back and return it to glory. And I think you can do that if they started putting some good product behind it. And I think the bourbon fans are forgiving and would forgive the issues of where we're at today with it. So with that, I think we want to try our Cabin Still. So guys want to pour that in the glass and see where we're at. All right. Okay. On the nose, it's good. What are some of the things you guys are getting on the nose? I mean, I'm getting kind of like buttercream frosting. I mean, it's good. Cake, buttercream. I mean, sounds like it's a good start, right? Sweet, Pat says. I think that goes in line with what I was saying. Certainly, it's very sweet on the nose. Maybe you get some apple type of, so if you're talking fruits, I mean, I think that would be the one if I had to narrow it down. And certainly toffee, and then I'm seeing dried orange, caramel. Yeah, kind of the standard one. So I think on the nose, very solid, very solid. So let's get a taste and see what we think here, and then we'll do some evaluation here too. So yeah, very nice mouthfeel, weeded weight. Even when you compare it against the lower proofs of today, good stuff. Yeah, I think it's smooth. I think it's good. Some of the things that they were talking about in the 72, I think are there. So asking some questions about the bourbon itself. Let's see what they say here. It is 86 proof, which is the norm of that era. It is 5 years old. 5 years old. So this would have been made in the late 60s. Made its debut in 68, just like me. Classic weeded finish. I agree. I tastes like a weeder to me. Does anybody think this is a blend? Or do they think we've got the straight Stitzelweller here? Candy apple's good. Maybe a blend, says Sasha. Ben says not. Any other votes? No idea. Jen Brenner, no idea. Way to sit on the fence, not put it out there.
Just being honest, I have zero idea.
Right. The OC from last time. What was the OC? I forget. Old.
Was the Old Commonwealth.
Old Commonwealth. Yes. The Old Commonwealth. When Tim, when was that from? Do you remember? What year was that? It's the same era, right? Wasn't it early?
That was like 79, or was it 82?
Was it 82? 82.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was 82. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Rob says no idea. Okay.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think the bottom line is I feel like it's good. What do you guys think? Do you feel like it's good? Do you feel like it's not?
I'd hate to ruin it with any ice or anything like that. It's definitely a sipper on its own.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm searching for is that rye spiciness at the back of the palate. And
Right.
I get a little bit of it at the end, but not much. So that could be the yolk of the barrel too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's most likely. I wouldn't think they added anything into this thing. But yeah, it's an easy sipper, 86 proof. It's 100% wheater. You can taste that for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm not getting that rye. If they mix in a higher rye, you get some of that stuff balanced out. It's still pulling to the front of the tongue, which leads me to believe that that's a lot more wheat than anything else.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely agree at the front of the tongue. This is where you get it. So Murphy would drink it, but he wouldn't chase it. If I mail it to you, would you drink it?
I drink it. It's not something I'm going to seek out.
Mm-hmm.
But it's absolutely drinkable.
Yeah. 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 It's an interesting one for sure. Again, you're talking in the Stitzel-Weller portfolio, Cabin Still was the lowest one that they had. So this that comes in. So automatically it's going to be a little bit different than if you're drinking some of their higher end items like Old Fitzgerald and things like that, or Weller, of a similar era. So we know that. Plenty of room in your mailbox, Patrick. Yeah. Mouthfeel in the front and the side. I agree. It's all up at the front on this one, which again leads you to believe if it is blended, it's more of the Stitzel-Weller than the Canada Dry, which is weird to say. I'll have to track down a bottle of Canada Dry and do one of these. Mr. Bill, what do you think? You usually have an opinion on this stuff.
It's good. I don't have any complaints.
Okay. That's good from Bill, because if he has a complaint, he'll let me tell you something. He'll tell you. There's no doubt about that. Marshmallow? Yeah, I think so. I think definitely soft. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think it's
marshmallow.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe a little toasty marshmallow. Oh, Mr. Whitlatch, I didn't see you on here.
Well, I've got the least capable palate in this program, and I really don't know.
Okay, but
very light, though.
Yeah. Would you drink it? Do you like it?
Absolutely.
Okay, that's the important thing, right? That's what it always comes down to. Would you drink it?
So, Steve, do you know if this is a blend or not?
I do not. No. I mean, I looked all over the internet. I don't see anything on the decanters from this era. So I don't know what they were doing with that. I have no idea how any of that works or anything like that. Nose is the best. Yeah, nose is really strong on this. I think the nose is top notch for sure. Second drink would be better. Sure. Always. That's with every bourbon, right? Just keep drinking them. So. I feel like it's an interesting representation of Stitzel-Weller product. It's different. It's definitely different than anything else that we've tasted. And it's kind of good to see what is considered a bottom shelf product of 1973 and compare it to our bottom shelf products of 2020. And I think this one would win. I feel like it is better than our lower shelf today. And it's weird. I don't know if we romanticize old whiskey or it is actually better, but I tend to like the older stuff for the most part, with the exception of some of our distiller buddies who are doing some things the old ways. And I think it makes a difference. I think we definitely see a difference for the people that take care and do some of the things like they used to do back in the 50s and 60s when they're making this. Any questions about Stitzelweller or Pappy Van Winkle or Cabin Still, bourbon industry, the legend Rick Brenner? Virtual bourbon events coming up. Baseball stats from the 70s or 80s. Don't know anything today though.
If you're going to talk about it, what do you got coming up in the future to look out for?
So yeah, I mean, we've got some cool ones coming up. Besides the Four Roses one, which will be announced as soon as I get that information in. I mean, I've got one right now that is kind of neat and it's getting close to selling out. That's the one that features Jade Peterson, the master distiller for Kentucky Artisan, which they source a lot of whiskey for other companies, including Jefferson's, and he's got some of his experiments that he's going to be sharing with us, which is kind of cool. So things that are not for sale, it's just stuff that he's working on, which is a neat concept. This flagship whiskey one, if you are interested in that, you buy a ticket, it gets you into 2 events. And it's 2 consecutive, I think Mondays in September, but you have to check the dates on that. So Tim's shaking his head yes. So it's like the 10th and 17th, I believe. And there's 8 different distilleries that'll be represented, 4 on each. And they come in and they talk about their flagship whiskey, what it is, why it's their flagship product, what went into it, how they designed it, what they're looking to accomplish, what it's going to look like 5 years from now, because we're talking to craft distillers. We can't say, your flagship whiskey is an 8-year product if they've only been in business 4 years. So I ask them, what do you see the future for this thing? And then they walk you through a tasting, and it's pretty cool. If you sign up, you get 10 samples for the next one, because we've got Lux Row part of it, and they actually sent 3 samples. So you get the 8 distillers all turned in one, and then you get the 2 bonus ones from Lux Row. So you actually get 10 samples. There's only about 8 tickets for that left. So, and that's not till September. But those that have attended those already have jumped on it and have bought tickets to the next one. So I think that's going to be our flagship virtual bourbon event, I believe, because we're going to get more and more distillers. We're going to get to taste their stuff before they're even in the markets, which is kind of cool, because you hear about these craft distilleries, but many times you don't get to try them. And what better way to try them than to have the person who's making that whiskey come in and tell you about that whiskey and then walk you through a tasting. So I feel like it's a great series, and it's unlimited how many distilleries we can get. So we're going to do it every 2 months, and they come in these cool bottles too. I mean, with the little logo on, they look like a little mini version of the thing with the logo on there, and that Justine Mays does all that for me. So I'm able to do that because she does all the work. So check those out. Look for that. We're looking at doing something here cool too. I'll tell you guys about this one. So I've got a movie out called Blending is Trending. We've done a screening of it. We're going to do another screening of that movie, but we're going to try to make it like a Rocky Horror Picture Show. We're going to send you guys a little kit with things that you drink during certain parts of the movie. And then we'll just have a group like this together, and everyone will be drinking at the same time. Or maybe when Al Young comes on the first time, who passed away after we, not too long after we had filmed our part with him, maybe you come on and we do a little toast or salute. We're working on what that's going to look like. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun. There'll be some drinking of the brands as they come on, and then we're going to try to do some other cool and fun things. It'll be an immersive experience that we'll be able to do together on Zoom. So I'm excited about that one. I can't tell you too much about it because I don't actually know yet. We just kind of came up with this idea, but my team is pushing themselves to be creative. That's what I keep telling them. We gotta be creative. Everyone's doing tastings of current products and things like that. We got to do more than that. We gotta push ourselves. And if we just throw the idea out there, and maybe it's not the greatest idea, but maybe we can refine it, or maybe we throw it back, but maybe we come up with something cool. And this was just one of those cool things. Like, let's do a Rocky Horror Picture Show of bourbon and see what we can do with it. So it should be fun.
Can you talk a little bit about some of the upcoming Dusty? I just grabbed some from the early times. I see there's a couple more. I gotta figure out which ones to choose. So if you have any thoughts or just overall overview of those.
Yeah, let me pull those up, and I'll take a look at it and kind of walk through some of those. That's ends up being our most popular series is the Dusty stuff. So we're doing those, and it's not only me. It's a couple of friends too. Wes Harden and some other people have gotten involved and doing these with me. We're doing one coming up. Let's see here. So just let me look at what we've got here. So we've got an interactive game show. The Price is Right. If you want to do that, we got some fun prizes. It's going to be just like the Price is Right thing, delivered via Zoom. So you'll have to see what I'm doing with that. It's crazy to talk about, but you see if you want to do that. We've got a one coming up too that actually is going to close out tomorrow. So I just had the Corvette one close out yesterday, and tomorrow I'm going to close out the Dusty Hunter Olympics. That ticket's only $22. It's a sourced Kentucky bourbon. How good it's going to be, I don't know. I haven't tried it. So we'll see how it is. We're also giving away 2 of those decanters to people that attend that one. So it's an interesting concept. It's $22. It's worth trying, and you might win an actual Dusty yourself. So that's cool. Then I got a couple that are sold out. I got the Jade one I talked about. The Early Times is a cool one. It's 76 Early Times versus 2020, and we're going to do it blind. So that'll be cool. I've got another one, Ezra Brooks. That one's sold out, so I don't need to talk about that. I got a Jim Beam one sold out. Freddie No's going to be on there. We're trying Dusties from the 60s, 70s, and 80s that were actually distilled in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and Freddie's going to be on with us. So that's going to be an incredible opportunity. I got one called the Vault, which is some of my rare stuff that I had. I had a 56 Kentucky Tavern and some 76 Wild Turkey, but that's again sold out. So you got to watch these. The best thing that you can do is go to our Eventbrite page and sign up for notifications. So there's a place on there, and if you can't find it, let me know. I'll send you a little thing. But it's like when you do that, as soon as I publish one, then you get an email notice saying this has been published by Steve Akley, and it allows you to sign up for that immediately. And that's kind of what you need to do, because some of these are going really quick. I do have a couple cool ones because I've posted now I've got them all done all the way through September. So I've got one, and this is for my dad. And it just reminded me of my dad. I went to, my mom said he's got some stuff at the house, and one of them was a bottle that used to be on the back of the bar. It was a 1966 Crown Royal half-gallon bottle. It was a big bottle, and on one of those tipsy things. It was there since I was a kid. My mom and dad used to have a lot of parties in the early 70s, mid 70s, maybe even up into the late 70s. But then it kind of stopped. I think people got families and kids and stuff like that, and just people get too busy. I saw that happen with me and my friends. But they had a great bar, and one of them was this old bottle of Crown. And my dad used to always talk about how great Crown was, and his friends all thought Crown was great. So I've got one called "Is 1966 Crown Better Than the Crown of Today?" And we're going to try some of that 66 Crown and compare it to the 2020 Crown, and that's a cheaper one, only $28. Also got some Jack Daniels. This was also of his. That was from the 70s. He had this crock that is the main picture there, and it was filled with Jack Daniels from the 70s. It's just been sitting there, and I tried some of that, and I was like, this is fantastic. So the same thing, we're going to do a compare and contrast. Jack Daniels of the 70s from my dad versus Jack Daniels of today. So that should be fun. Then we've got the flagship, and then we've got one called Taste the Unicorn, and that's going to be a new series that I'm doing too. I'm going to start opening up some of my old whiskeys, because I tell my wife, it's like, I don't know, some of the stuff gets to where it's worth so much I can no longer I no longer feel like I can even open it. I just can't enjoy it myself enough when I'm drinking a bottle that people are buying for $600 or $800 or $1,000. And I've had this stuff for a while, so I'm going to start doing some events with it. The first one's a Thomas H. Handy. We're going to try that, and it's just called Taste the Unicorn. So we're gonna get into trying some of these whiskeys that you might get, and you see more people saving them and sitting around. And I don't want to save these things. I want to drink them, and I want to share them with some friends and things like that. So that's what we've got lined up right away coming up through September. So, and that's all out there. You can, if you don't know where to go, the easiest place, you can find me on Eventbrite, but the easiest way to get there is through our website. That's abvnetwork.com/virtual. And that'll take you to our virtual events. We list them all there, and then you can click on them. It'll take you to Eventbrite where you get signed up. And like I said, I would encourage you to sign up for the things for sure. Couple of questions. Do we need to dress up like Freddie No for the movie? Yes, there'll be bonus points if you sign up for like Freddie No. Someone says they just bought the 66 Crown one, so that's cool. And that Thomas Handy, so I appreciate that. So thank you, Rob. What date is the one for the samples for the experiments? Yeah, that one's coming up relatively soon. Let me see here.
Jake Peterson's on the 13th of August.
13th of August, yes.
Yeah.
So I've got, I think as we went into this, like 7 tickets left or something like that. I'll probably cut off the tickets for that one again. And earlier, I need to leave myself time to send these things. Now I try to send, I don't send them all at once. I'll take time, and I just was sending out some of them this week. I'll send them out early because I don't like waiting until the end. And we've had some that haven't made it in time before. Some of these things I don't send out, and mine are always on time, at least sent out on time. But when you're dealing with other people, sometimes they're like, they rely on the post office too. I don't like to rely on them. I like to send it out way early.
Hey, Steve, is the bartending hacks closed out now too? Did that already sell out?
No. Bartending Hacks is out there. And I didn't talk about those, but yeah, we're going to start doing bartending hacks every month. So Courtney Cantrell, who is a bartender at Old Hickory Whiskey Bar, which is one of the best whiskey bars. If you're ever in Pensacola, Florida, you're on vacation, please stop in there. It's a great place to go. They're, of course, affiliated with the network. Courtney and her boss, Katie Garrett, who owns Old Hickory Whiskey Bar, are on the Bourbon Betty Show, which is one of our shows on the network. And, they do a great job. And I've partnered with Courtney, and we're every month going to do a series we call Bartender Hacks, which help you out as the home bartender. It's recipes like how to make bitters or how to make a shrub or other things that you do at the bar that typically you might think, I don't even know how they do that. She tells you how to do it and then shows you how to make a recipe utilizing that. And then after the event, we actually send you the recipes, and you can you get those, and so you can make those things at home. And she's knowledgeable, she's fun, and it's good. We're eventually going to turn all the recipes from that into a book, and then we're doing some more too. So there'll be some beyond the events too. So Courtney and I are also working on that together, which is kind of a cool thing. And then I've got another one that's going to be a monthly one too. It's food, cooking with bourbon. So Guy, if you, Tim, you sat on that one. I don't know if Rick, did you sit on that one too? The Legend? Jen, maybe?
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, it's really good.
It was like a cooking show.
It's like a cooking show.
It was great.
Yeah. He literally took it so seriously. He did multiple cameras. He had got up early and made like finished product, had it on the grill. So he's showing you how to prepare this meat, this pork tenderloin type of thing. And then, of course, just like you see on a cooking show, he takes it, and then he takes you out to the grill, and then you get to see what it's like as it's done. I mean, it was just so cool. So we're going to partner up. We're going to do those on a monthly basis too. Same type of thing. Share recipes, go through all of them, show you how to prepare them, how to cook them, and then afterwards we send you out the recipes so you've got them. So, and those are fun. And I've partnered with Will and with Courtney, and hopefully we get a core base that we can build up over time. So those are big classes. I don't know that we'll ever sell those out because we have a capacity up to 100 people with our license. So I don't know that we'll ever sell 100 tickets. So those are pretty well always open. So you can always buy tickets to those. Our other events are limited by the amount of whiskey that we got. How many bottles can we send is typically what mandates how many tickets we sell.
Yeah, Steve, I wasn't on that cooking one, but Dad was, and then he made all the stuff on from the recipes that they gave out.
Yeah, and your dad's a good cook. How did they turn out?
Really good cook. They were amazing.
Yeah.
They were absolutely amazing.
Yeah, Will Whitfield's a good guy. I've been friends with him a long time. I think we probably connected initially because I'm a St. Louis guy, talk about St. Louis all the time, infatuated with St. Louis. And he's a St. Louis guy too. Now he lives out in Seattle. He got married and took a job out in Seattle, so moved all the way out there. He comes back from time to time. We've hung out before when he's come back and seen family and things like that. But yeah, so we connected over the St. Louis thing, and we've been friends for a while. And it's kind of a cool thing that we're doing. And he's just a great cook, great guy, participates in some of those like barbecue championships and stuff like that. And yeah, cool dude for sure. So yeah, more tickets. Oh, this is good. VIP and early times. Appreciate that. Which one includes Lux Row? Oh, that is the VIP. Yeah, that's the VIP, and I forget which of the events, the 10th or the 17th, but they're in one of those. So, and that's in the September edition. So the one that's in this month is of course already sold out, but yeah, that's so in September. And again, not very many tickets left. If you're interested in that one, you probably should get signed up sooner than later. We'll do that next event on Monday, and I would think that anybody who doesn't have a ticket that's on there will probably buy it. And again, we're limited based on how many samples. It's not like you can be like, oh, it's popular, let's open it up for more tickets. We sell as many tickets as whiskey we have, so that's it for that. But
And Lux Rose on the 10th of that one.
so on the 10th, so it's on the first one.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. And that's and they've got 3. They're doing their Davis County. So and I believe they're calling that their signature whiskey because it's stuff that is going to be out first under their name. It's their unique brand. You know, they haven't started a whole lot of brands. Blood Oath certainly they did, but again, that's going to be sourced, and that'll be sourced for a long time because it tends to be older product. But the Davis County will be theirs sooner. And it's an original product created from them, not a brand that they bought. A lot of the other brands have been around that they bought, which is cool. But this is something that they've created, and really John Rempe, the guy who's the master distiller there, was integral in that. So yeah, he's pretty excited about that one.
Oh, and the Davis County is pretty good. All 3.
Yeah, all 3 of them are really good. They sent me the bottles of that, and yeah, I liked all 3 of them too. And yeah, it's good stuff.
I got lucky up here in Wichita. I found all 3 of them. One liquor store I went to, they had one bottle of each. And
not when Rick left though.
And I couldn't make up my mind which one I wanted, so I bought all 3. And yeah, you know, nothing else better to do. I popped a cork on all 3 of them, so and they're all good.
Yeah, they're all good, and yeah, you'll get to try all 3 of those, and you'll have John Rempe tell you about each one and what he was trying to accomplish with those, and yeah, it's cool stuff. Like I said, we just had our first one. Those I'm trying to keep it right at 90 minutes. It'd be easy to. I want to manage the time on those really well because I don't want to. It'd be easy to get 4 hours, you know, in when you start talking on these things. And I want to kind of manage it because I don't think maybe caught in the moment they would do it, but then I don't want them to think bad about it. I've committed to them. We'll do 90 minutes. They actually get to try the other distiller's whiskey, which is kind of cool. We don't ask them about it though. That's part of the deal that I made with them too. We won't ask any of our distillers about what do you think about their so we don't tell them, hey, we're just giving it to you to try and enjoy because you're hearing about it. So I think it's a neat component of that. They're getting introduced to some other people's whiskeys as well. Anything else you guys want to know? This has been great talking about what we got going on. That's my favorite topic. Yeah.
I saw the event coming up with Royce, all the moonshine stuff, and that one was sold out. I completely missed that one.
Yes.
Kind of bums me out a little bit.
Yeah, and I didn't want to say, well, I probably shouldn't say it on here because this is recorded, but what we're doing is it's all about moonshine, and I have an infatuation with moonshine. I always have. And I was lucky enough when I was in sales, I got to go to Georgia on my thing, and there was one of the guys in there, and this was before I ever had podcasts or anything like that, but he's like, I know a guy. It's always, I know a guy. And he had a guy who he would get real moonshine from. And I'm telling you, that stuff was fantastic. When I'd go see him, we would drink that stuff and I loved it. But so we're doing a thing on moonshine, and we're going to compare Old Smoky, which is by far the biggest moonshine company in the world.
Mm-hmm.
They kick anybody else's ass. It's not even close. They get more tourism at the Old Smoky distilleries. They've got like 4 different versions of their distillery. They have main ones, and then they've got other ones. But they get more tourists going through Old Smoky than all of the bourbon distilleries combined on the Bourbon Trail.
Wow.
That's how big tourism is. Old Smoky is huge. So we're going to compare Old Smoky to Royce Neely's family recipe that he sells at his company today, and compare what is really. And I'm not speaking bad about Old Smoky, but go on their website; they'll see this. Their product, their moonshine, is neutral grain spirits. What's neutral grain spirits? It's basically vodka. So compare neutral grain spirits to a real moonshine, the way it's historically been made with Royce, is a product that you can buy on the shelf legally. To we're also going to compare it to a Hawaiian traditional moonshine made with taro root, just like you get a lot of that stuff in Hawaii. So I had bought a bottle of that and held on to it, utilizing it for the class. And we're also, just for fun, got a guy and we're going to compare it to some stuff made in the woods. So this guy was in a documentary that we did coming up, and got a bottle of it, and it's stuff that is fantastic. So we're going to compare biggest name ever in moonshine versus, you know, three other things, and see where all that shakes out. And I think it'll be a fun compare and contrast. But we had very limited tickets on that, so it was only 10 tickets. They're sold out in an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's why you want to sign up to get the notifications. If you really like the stuff, you want to see the notifications, then you can decide immediately if that one's for you, and especially on the limited ticket ones. And I try to get out there and say that typically on Facebook and be like, hey, this one's super limited, you know, and we're doing some that have like 10 tickets in that. So please check them out. Any other questions about what we talked about tonight? Anything else we got going on? Well, as always, I thank you guys for your support of what we do. Have a lot of fun. Yes, you do need to sign up on the Eventbrite site. There's no way I can do it for you, I don't think. You just have to sign up for it. If you have any problems doing it, just reach out to me. Hopefully everyone knows how to get a hold of me. But just reach out to me and I can show you where it's on there. Because it's like, and you get on that main Eventbrite page, you'll see like there's like my picture and the logo, and it's kind of like in the middle of the thing. Before, it's like right before it's has company information, then it has where all the classes are listed. But if you look in the right, kind of in the middle, it has sign up for email notifications. So I signed up for it just so I could see what that was like, what everyone else was getting, and it's pretty cool. And I forget. It shows you how many people have signed up. There's a lot of people that have signed up, which I didn't even realize we had that many, but there's a lot. So yeah.
If you sign up if you download the Eventbrite app on your phone and sign up on an account, and then you search out Steve and you follow him, those notifications almost come automatically.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I've got the app too. So I get it, of course, for a different reason. So literally I'll hit publish, and then I'm like, okay, now I need to put this out on Facebook and let everyone know that this is out there. And then my phone dings, and you know, literally before I can even post on Facebook that, you know, your first ticket's been sold. So people do follow, and that's how a lot of the tickets go. So yeah, so definitely do that, and it just gives you first crack. And you know, some people have done that, and that have missed out on some, and now I see that they're getting the notifications and they get signed up right away. So it's nice to be able to do that. And I just want everybody all my friends like you guys to be on there. So that's good. All right. Anything else? Well,
And the ABV network will take your direct deposit.
Yeah, Murphy keeps saying that we're going to have to take direct deposit, or, you know, some sort of garnish of his wages, because yeah, we have so many cool events and things to do and stuff like that. So check it out. We've also got a live training event coming up August 9th at Neely Family Distillery, if you're into that. It's called an Advanced Bourbon Degree, and it really gets into things you need to know if you're really into bourbon. So you won't come into the class and learn that it's 51% corn and it has to be in a new oak barrel. You know that stuff already. If you're attending these type of events, you know that. We're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about things that you need to know and how to do a tasting and cool things like that. We're going to try a bunch of different whiskey. So it's going to be fun. If you haven't signed up for that, please do. It's August 9th, and I will be there and got a team that will be teaching that class. It's going to be fun. And then I've got a really cool one coming up next month too after that. So in October. Haven't announced that one yet, but that'll be the same thing done at Neely. So gonna partner with them. They've got a new little visitor center that we can utilize, which is nice. holds about 15 people, which is about right. I don't want too big of a group these days, and it just, it works. And I can work with Royce and Becca. They're always very willing to do whatever I need to do. So it's cool. Cool partnership, and hopefully start to do it at some other distilleries as well with friends like Adam Stumpf, who's building like an event center. I'm going to start doing some events and things like that. I plan to start doing some cool like mini bourbon shows and stuff like that once we get going, utilizing some of my friends in the industry, bringing them to St. Louis and doing something like like the New Orleans Bourbon Festival. I'm going to do a smaller version of that, but it's not going to be too bad. It'll hold like 300 people in the main area, so that's pretty good. And then you got areas with breakout sessions and that. It's going to be a pretty good events, and Adam and I are going to be partnering up on that. So, but that won't be until next year. He hasn't even broken ground on that just yet. So, but when he does, it's going to be cool. Well, again, thanks, guys. I really appreciate you coming out for this and hearing what's going on and learning about this and trying this with me and seeing what it's all about. So have a good night, everyone, and thanks for tuning in.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Take care.